On Islanders here. The Islanders getting down to their final roster. We'll talk about some of the players sent down to Bridgeport and placed on waivers, plus three key players. And these are star players who will be vital to the Islanders' success in the upcoming season. That and a whole lot more coming up on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Gil Martin here for Locked On Islanders. We have got a great show for you today. Lots to talk about as the deadline has come and gone for the final rosters to be submitted for opening night to the National Hockey League. We'll talk about some players the Islanders waived, some players they sent down to Bridgeport, and who is still standing as we approach the regular season now just 2 days away. And we'll spend a lot of time between now and Thursday previewing and getting ready for the season. We are also going to discuss three players whose performance this year is going to be vital to the Islanders' success. And we'll have our Islanders birthday of the day, a rugged defenseman who was a big part of the Islanders' success during his time with the team. This episode is brought to you by RockAuto.com. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit RockAuto.com and tell them that Locked On you. And always great to be here with you today on the Tuesday edition. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Are free, available on all platforms. So we've got some key players to look at. But before we get to that, obviously, if there is something Islanders related on your mind, you have a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like us to discuss, feel free to email the show. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. And we do have an email waiting, and we'll get to that on tomorrow's show. It is all part of our preview for the upcoming season. We also, of course, if you want to follow the show on Twitter, it's at Locked On Isles. And if you want to follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter, my handle at Ice Wars, NYRVSNYI. And we'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders transactions, game previews, news, and to start this. Wanted to get underway by talking about three key players who will really have a huge impact on you this year. And look, we could talk about 10 to 15 players who are going to have big impact on the Islanders. But to these three have a lot of impact. And maybe I'm not going to mention either of the two starting goalies, although obviously give the Islanders one of the best 1-2 punch at goaltender of any team in the National Hockey League, at least on paper entering this season. And by the way, Varley still did not practice with the status for opening night, looking low, but obviously we'll latest as soon as we have it for you and it's presented to us. But here are the three players that I think, it's two forwards and a defenseman. So we'll start with the defenseman. And I think it's obvious if you've been listening to the show or watching over the last few weeks. To me, the key player right now, especially after Erik Gustafsson was not signed, is got to be Noah Dobson. And that's because Noah Dobson, out of the top 6 forwards the Islanders have on their roster, he is the only one of the 6 who has the tools to do a lot of the things the departed Nick Leddy did. And that is get good transition, skate the puck up the ice on the rush, and quarterback the power play. Obviously, Pelech and Pulock, the top pairing, not known for their offense. Zdeno Chara, at this stage in his career, not going to give you a lot of points. Andy Green, same deal. Steady on defense, experienced, savvy, smart. Both Chara and Green will do that for you. Scotty Mayfield, physical, big, but not as agile as you need for someone to do what Nick Leddy did last year. And look, offense, he'll pitch in every once in a while, but that's not the key to Scotty Mayfield's game. Noah Dobson, 20 years old, he has a lot on his shoulders. If Noah Dobson is good enough to take that step forward, to quarterback the power play, to rush the puck up ice, to make good outlet passes, to be the spark plug of the transition game for the Islanders without giving up too much defensively and making mistakes, the Islanders will be just great, and the power play will continue to improve. But if he's not ready, do you go to Sebastian Aho? Do you call up Robin Salo? How do you handle that situation? There really wouldn't be anyone else in the top six who's really capable of handling that role. And for that reason, one of my three most important pivotal players in this preview here has to be Noah Dobson. If he's ready, this team will be fine. If he's not, whether it's a trade or a call-up, there will be a scramble, and the Islanders will have to find someone to play that role. Then we're talking about two forwards. The first one, in my mind, is the captain, Anders Lee. Lee was definitely missed last year. And no offense to Leo Komarov, because I like him. I think in some ways Uncle Leo is underrated. But he's not a first-line player. He's not a good fit on anybody's first line at this point in his career. And you know what? Uncle Leo, he wasn't going to get that Anders Lee, before he was injured, was going to give you. And now that Lee is back, bona fide 30-goal scorer over the course of an 82-game season if he remains healthy. He's got to get back to that kind of production. And the other thing about Anders Lee that he can do, that again, not a lot of other players on this roster can do, although there is one other player who might be able to fill some of that role. But Anders Lee, getting those tips, those deflections, those rebounds, getting in front of the goalie and screening him. No one else on this roster is as good as Anders Lee at doing that. That matters for the power play. It matters for the top line. If Anders Lee gets back to 30 goals a year or close to it, the Islanders' offense should be okay, even if they don't add a sniper. But if Lee struggles and isn't back up to his former standards offensively, this team may struggle to score enough goals. And again, Lou Lamoriello may be forced to make some kind of move in order to enhance the offense. The other player I'm going to add to that list is Kyle Palmeri. Now in his first full season with the Islanders after being acquired at the trade deadline last year. We need playoff Kyle Palmeri, the guy we saw in the postseason last year. If we get the regular season post-trade deadline version of Kyle Palmeri, that first line again may be lacking. And yeah, Oliver Wahlstrom may be able to step up and get an audition at that top line. But if Palmeri can more or less match the production of Jordan Eberle, again, the Islanders' offense should be good. Palmeri should get some power play time. These three guys are going to have to shine, because if they don't, there's not a lot of other players out there who are going to get the job done. When we come back, we'll talk about some roster moves that the Islanders made as they get down to the final opening day rosters. A couple of players placed on waivers, some players loaned to Bridgeport. We'll talk about that and what it means for the lineup. All that and more still to come on the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. We're back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back and ready for another football season. And as always, Bet Online is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this year. With a new updated site and interface and even more odds, props, and contests, Bet Online continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website or use your mobile device today to sign up and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Don't forget to use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive that 50% bonus. From football, basketball, boxing, hockey, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. And look, right now you can get in all your bets for the hockey season. You want to bet how many points the Islanders will get or how many points a specific player will get? Check it out at betonline.ag. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's episode is also brought to you by DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar to you? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle. And it's a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. You can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. So the Islanders made some moves, and obviously we knew that was coming. They had to. We're going to talk about in just 1 minute. Now, again, thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. And make sure you check out Crosscheck's live NHL season preview. Andrew Berkshire and Mary Clark will be on the Locked On NHL YouTube page today, Tuesday, October 12th from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Andrew and Mary tee up the new NHL season with a look at the key stories from around the league, featuring drop-ins from our roster of local NHL hosts, fantasy insights from Locked On Fantasy Hockey's Scott Cullen, and award and Stanley Cup playoff predictions. So again, check it out, the season preview on the Locked On NHL YouTube page today from 6 to 7 Eastern Time. All right, so the Islanders made some moves. I can't say they were surprising, but I think that they shed a little bit more light on where this team is going. We mentioned on yesterday's show, we have a bit more update. Eric Gustafson recently ends up signing with the Blackhawks. And according to my sources, the Islanders were happy with the way Gustafson played, but there was enough cap room for Gustafson. So what does this mean? It means, among other things, that Sebastian Aho is probably the seventh defenseman, and that Robin Sal has a better chance of being called during this season. The Islanders also announced that Zdeno Chara and Zach Parise, their contracts were filed with the league, and the details, $750,000 base salary for each of them, and another $750,000 in achievable performance bonuses. So the overall cap hit, $1.5 million for each of Zdeno Chara and Zach Parise, but some of those bonuses could be applied to next year's cap if need be, so that gives the Islanders a little more flexibility. Now, 4 players were sent down to Bridgeport, and players Robinson, and he he is probably 1 year away. So a very strong camp, a lot of minutes, top pairing, probably quarterback, either the first or second power play unit, and expect the Finn to have a strong year and be a big candidate to come back next year. And if you look at it, Baldock and Salo, and Green, 39, Zeno Chara, 44. Next year, Baldock and Salo, as of now at least, probably the front runner, make that jump and join Islanders. Maybe depending on injuries, how they're playing in Bridgeport, and how the players at the NHL level are playing ahead of them, maybe even to make it up sometime. He had carry out there. He fit in well. Work hard, which is always the Island. And I bought line room on the roster for goalie Jeff. So right now, the Islanders will start in the AL to get top 6 down there, where we would almost certainly either forward or paying on needed have to buy it. So goalie chef have a little undersized NHL, but enough to probably 20 goals points over the course of the season. If you think to go down in Bridgeport, but to the NHL and the issue for goalie Chev, if he goes down to Bridgeport, he's taking a pay cut in the K at 19, ready to go. So on to Bridgeport. This is a cap move more that it wasn't that big. The Red Wings were paying, but right now Leo Kamov going. And one of the benefits of these moves, the Blinders for, but get them up and new season and move and be competitive. And the Islanders need to chin the Islanders to the Bridgeport Islanders as well, or yeah, maybe he becomes again the 13th or 14th forward, depending on who gets hurt and what have you. But 24 hours to clear waivers, so we'll know something on Tuesday and update you on tomorrow's podcast and certainly by Twitter before then. We got more to talk about. A tough defensive defenseman is Islanders' birthday of the day. Talk about him and a lot more. All that come on Islanders podcast. Brought to you by rockauto.com. With the numbers of makes and models, it is now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. So why endure often pointless and seemingly intimidating questions and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer choosing only the brand their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. So why choose to spend 30, 50, or even 100% more from a chain store or a car dealership when you can go to rockauto.com, a family business that's been serving do-it-yourselfers online for 20 years. Rockauto.com has everything you could need, from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, or even a new carpet. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box, so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Time now for Isladers' birthday of. We're going to go back to the 90s for them. We want to wish one day late a very happy 54th birthday to former Islanders defenseman Dennis Vasque. Vasque, drafted by the Islanders back in 1986 in the second round, had 4 solid seasons at the University of Minnesota Duluth, and then joined the Islanders for a cup of coffee during the 1990-91 season and spent half of the 91-92 season with the Islanders, half of 92-93, and then had his most complete season in 93-94, stayed with the Islanders through the 97-98 campaign, and then spent one more year in the NHL with the Boston Bruins. For his career, 235 games played, 5 goals, 46 points, and 253 penalty minutes. Vasque also, he played 18 playoff games with the Islanders during that magic 1993 run to the conference final, had 6 assists that year. That was 18 of his 22 playoff games in the NHL, all of those with the Islanders. And Vasque had good size, 6'2", 211 pounds, and that made him a guy that opposing forwards didn't want to have to deal with in front of the Islanders' goal. You know, a guy like that, always a goalie's best friend. We're going to look at one of Dennis Vasque's better games with the Islanders. We take you back to December 11th, 1993 at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. The Philadelphia Flyers coming to town. Tommy Soderstrom, a former Islander, he was the goalie for Philadelphia, while Ron Hextall, a former Philadelphia Flyer, was the goalie for the Islanders. Meanwhile, the Islanders got on the board first. Benoit Hogue getting the scoring started. He tallied his 13th from Pierre Turgeon and our Islanders' birthday of the day, Dennis Vasque. Time of that goal was 8:27, 1-0 Islanders. But the Islanders, Derek King called for hooking. The Flyers cash in. Rod Brindamore, his 10th from Yves Racine, and Kevin Dineen at 12:31 after 20 minutes. We're all even at 1-1. In the second period, the Flyers took the lead. 1 goal scored in that period, and it was by Mikhail Renberg, his 15th, from Rasavev and Mark Recchi at 10:54. 2-1 Flyers after 40 minutes. Islanders needed something to get going. But in the third period, the Islanders tie it. David Volek, his 4th from Pierre Turgeon and Derek King at 6:48. We're all even at 2. Then Brad Dalgarno, his 2nd, from Travis Green and Marty McGinnis at 14:27. And the Islanders special teams do it again with Hogue in the penalty box for holding. Marty McGinnis, a shorthanded goal, his 7th. Give an assist to the goalie, Ron Hextall, at 16:31. Then, in the closing seconds, Travis Green, an empty netter from Hogue, and Dennis Vasque, our Islanders' birthday of the day. That one officially at 19:55. Final score, Islanders 5 and the Flyers 2 for Dennis Vasque, our Islanders' birthday of the day. He had 2 assists and was a +4 in this game. Also had 2 shots on goal as the Islanders end up winning the game. Islanders with 32 shots on goal compared to 28 for the Flyers. Ron Hextall, 26 saves for the Islanders to earn the win, while offensively, a lot of 2-point games in this one. Travis Green, Benoit Hogue, and Marty McGinnis, a goal and an assist each. Dennis Vasque and Pierre Turgeon with 2 helpers each. So again, Dennis Vasque is our Islanders' birthday of the day. His birthday was Monday. He is 54. We wish Vasque a very happy birthday and many, many happy more. Don't forget, tomorrow we will continue our season preview and we will start looking ahead to the season opener in Carolina when the Islanders take on the Hurricanes. And yes, that, folks, is just 1 days away as of right now, but it is just around the corner. Thanks again for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Host Scott Cullen leans on his decades of fantasy hockey insight and experience every day to help you be the expert of your fantasy league. It's free and available on all platforms. That's going to do it for this of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Be back, of course, tomorrow, another show. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube, make sure you do that if you want to watch and not just listen to the podcast. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. I'm excited. We are so close to this season, and it's going to be a great one for the Islanders. And, of course, let's go Islanders.